Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by, surprisingly enough, SupermanHomepage.com, the number one Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our October 4th, 2021 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including new images from the Injustice animated movie. We're going to be talking about the latest Supergirl episodes, comic books, DC fandom, and so much more. We're also going to be turning to you to ask for your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss, and to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show. Let me introduce you to my co-host. He's back this week, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve, and like I was telling you before the show started, I would have much rather have been here last week than where I was. So it wasn't fun, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It wasn't fun.
So how can people get involved in tonight's show?
Well, it's really simple because Superman Homepage Live, now that I'm getting used to the new name, you're going to throw a new name at me next week. I know you are. Superman Homepage Live is all about Superman. It's in the name. And because of that, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us right now on YouTube. So about halfway through the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket, we will take some calls. So how do you do that? Well, it's really simple. You need Skype. Go to Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and let us know you'd like to be on the show by sending us a message. Now, a couple of things. One, wait for us to call you. Don't just call. That's why we say, please, message us. And two, if you are watching Superman Homepage Live with an external speaker, please mute that because we are on a bit of delay and that can cause some problems.
Yes, and for those who are tuning in live via YouTube, we invite you to participate in the comments, ask questions, chat with fellow fans, get involved with the comments section of our show, and we'll look to those as the show continues. And also, if you'd like your comment or question featured on the screen live during the show, that's called the Super Chat. All you have to do is click the little dollar symbol there on YouTube. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate, and we will feature very prominently your question or comment on the screen as the show goes to air. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And if you'd like to support the Superman homepage and this show, then simply head to patreon.com/Superman homepage or click the join button below right there on YouTube. Well, Mike, it's good to have you back. We did have Neil Bailey, no relation, filling in for you last week. He did an admirable job, even though he's not as up to date on Superman stuff as you are. But it was fun getting back into the saddle, as so to speak, with Neil. We used to do the radio KAL back in the day. We used to do the other stuff back in the day, but together. But yeah, it's always good to catch up with Neil. He's a lively character.
Yeah, I'm glad that he was able to come out and play with y'all. I'm sure the audience enjoyed him as well.
Mm. So, how's your week been? What's new with you?
It's been one of those weeks where like the news, especially the Superman news, has not been like plentiful, but like they release a bunch of stuff for Supergirl all at once, so it's kind of confusing. And like one of the things we're going to be talking about is, they set a date for the last episode, and I read the article and I could not find a date. So either my reading comprehension skills have dropped, or they were just terrible about where they put it. So, but no, it's been a quiet week, which I'm kind of glad for, because last week was really busy. So, but what do we got on the docket?
Well, we start off with the movie side of things, and the Injustice animated movie is swiftly coming our way. October 19th is its release date, and Warner Brothers Home Entertainment released a bunch of images for the upcoming animated movie. This is what we have here. We have Green Lantern protecting Batman, Wonder Woman, Joker, and Harley Quinn from a bomb detonating in a pivotal moment early in Injustice. So that's an interesting one. Looks like also Harley Quinn in that image there. We've got another one there of Green Arrow. He gets an especially complicated assignment in Injustice, which is interesting. And then we have Harley Quinn. She's up to her old tricks and turning over new leaves as the stakes rise and the lines between heroes and villains blur. And then lastly, we have this one with Wonder Woman and her team standing as Superman's closest allies during a meeting of superheroes.
It's funny looking at all these designs. It's just like, did they just look at the basic designs and say, how can we make this more complicated for absolutely no reason? Like they're not bad. They look
Mm,
great. I'm not overly looking forward to the movie,
yeah,
but that's just because I'm
of the
tired
material.
of that kind of thing.
Yes.
At some point, I will sit down and read like the various Injustice books because they're written by Tom Taylor, so they're going to be at least entertaining.
Hmm.
But yeah, my mind's not just ready to be there watching Superman put his fist through the Joker and see that like actually happen, even though it's
Yeah,
animated.
exactly. And it is obviously a very full-on story, and this is rated R, so it is.
Hmm.
It's not pulling its punches, pun intended. And yeah, it'll be out on October 19th, 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack, Blu-ray and digitally on October 19th. You can pre-order yours through our website, and yeah, it will be interesting to see how we feel about this. As some people saying in the comments, they're tired of all the evil Superman stuff going on at the moment, and this seems to be the big one. Injustice was pretty much the thing that was all over the place with all the prequels and sequels that took place with the video game release and then the comic books and everything like that. So, Injustice, the animated movie, coming out October 19th. Then it wouldn't be an episode of Superman Homepage Live without talking about Zack Snyder once again. This time, Scanline VFX. They released an online video breaking down some of the visual effects that they created for Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is really interesting. I always like to see how these visual effects companies put together some of the scenes and how many layers and things that are going to creating some of the visuals for these big blockbuster superhero special effects films. Have a look at some of this. There you go. Things that you assumed were actual actors in place, especially that Batman
Yeah,
on top of that machine, uh, were all visual effects, all actual 3D renderings.
yeah. I think especially the more you can mask a character,
Hmm.
the better you're able to do that.
Yeah,
I know they were playing with that stuff though as far back as Batman Begins.
yeah.
They did some test shots of like a digitally realized Batman, other as opposed to the actor. I was a little surprised that it wasn't more of Henry in the scene at the beginning that they were showing clips of Superman dying. But I guess if you don't actually have to have the actor there, you don't have to do the makeup or anything like that. So, but I don't. Does that take away a little bit of the fun? I mean,
Well, yeah,
if it
especially as an actor yourself, when you're going, this is a really tense, emotional scene, the dying scene, and then it's not even you acting out the role.
well, I'm sure they did like
Motion capture.
the mocap stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, where they put the dots all over him. So it was probably him performing it. Just they just did a digital version just to make it blend with Doomsday better.
Mm.
Uh, it was kind of funny, and it's just also kind of amusing to me to think that like they made Steppenwolf a computer generated character. All of the parademons that were with him were a computer generated character, but the guy in the armor isn't.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that there was like dudes in green suits. Like, remember the behind the scenes stuff, the Superman Returns, of the guys in the green suits just flapping Brandon's cape. It's just they were just pulling him along. So I mean, it's all impressive in the end, and I will admit that they're getting better and better with it, to the point where I don't mind it as much. I just get kind of annoyed when like you have like a really great movie and then the ending is just obviously two CG characters just bashing each other into the face.
Yeah. But yeah, it's getting to a point where it is impressive enough that you're surprised at what is and what isn't
Hmm.
uh, a visual computer element rather than an actual actor filmed on set. But yeah, that was even watch the full video of that from Scanline Visual Effects at our website, and they posted that on their Twitter account through Vimeo. Okay, moving on to the television side of the world. Before we get into the Supergirl stuff, Superman and Lois season 2 has added a new um, actor to a recurring role. We have Ian Bowen. There he is. There he is, a Teen Wolf, another Teen Wolf star, who starred obviously alongside Tyler Hoechlin from that TV series. He will be joining season 2 of Superman and Lois in a multi-episode arc, playing Lieutenant Mitch Anderson, the new head of the DoD. Obviously,
Mitchell Anderson.
yes.
That's the name of the kid that was in Death of Superman. He's the one that the mother and the baby, the house got trashed by Doomsday. He
Yes.
ended up becoming a superhero. I didn't catch that was his name until you said it. I'm like, that's a deep cut. Sorry, I was
No,
I
no,
was
that was
a
great.
little
I didn't
surprised.
catch that
So
either. There you go.
Ian
Yeah.
Bowen looks like what would happen if Ewan McGregor and Luke Perry had a kid. Um, Yeah, I know nothing about him. My co-hosts from the Superman and Lois tapes are very excited because they're Teen Wolf fans.
Hmm.
So, but Mitch Anderson, wow, I'm gonna be dining out on that all week.
Now, obviously, he'll be taking over from Sam Lane, who's stepped down as the head of the DoD there. And Mitch Anderson believes the world is divided into those who serve and those who serve you. And he's not a fan of the Man of Steel. He believes that he doesn't fit into that worldview of either of those particular sets of people. So he will attempt to officially bring Superman under his authority.
Ooh, that'll be a good that'll be a good dynamic, I think, because he was at Sam Lane's beck and call pretty much. But that
Also,
was
family.
more of like, yeah, that was a family thing. So is he going to have the same kind of loyalty to Mitch Anderson? Wow.
So there you have it. We expect Superman and Lois season 2 back on our screens in early 2022. So we'll wait to see what happens there and how many episodes he will be a part of the show for. But looking at the Supergirl side of the world of news, you reviewed last week's most recent episode, which was the 13th of season 6. It was titled The Gauntlet, and it was an episode in which um, the magical totem controlling courage infected because it got split, and at that splitting infected everyone that was within a radius of that, and hijinks ensued.
Yeah, this was a bit of a step down. Uh, I mean, I kind of liked watching David Harewood as John be more just just really, how do I want to describe it? He was just really happy for everybody. But on the other hand, you had Jesse Rath doing a performance that kind of reminded me of like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, as she's taken over by by the Kryptonian witch, and I wasn't really like, this episode didn't grab me at all.
Mm.
Like it was interesting seeing Nixley's backstory, but like, why go back to like the day that Kara stepped up for the first time and used her powers in public? That's just that seemed like a weird angle to go. And why are we doubting her courage at this point, anyways?
Yeah, and it kind of was shoehorned in on that day that she didn't do this, and she thought she had to go back and do that, and she should have done that, and it it just seemed very confusing from her perspective as to she seemed unsure of herself as to what
Mm-hmm.
part she had played or hadn't played at the time, and then she wasn't able to, she failed at that, yet Nixley was able to win at that by doing something completely non-heroic or non-courageous in a way. I mean, yeah, it didn't really sit well with me either, and it did seem a little bit silly that each of the characters had their courage affected in a different way. It just seemed more apathetic than
Mm-hmm.
John, especially. It was just like, yeah, you go, yeah, you do, yeah, yeah. It just seemed like he was high, not, I don't know, just everyone. I mean, it was fun to watch, and I appreciated some of the acting skills involved in playing a whole different skew to their character, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really fit in with what they were trying to say the courage thing did.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we're doing. This is going to sound weird. We're doing a middle of the show season arc in the last season. Like,
Mm.
this is an arc you do in a season when you know you have another season coming down the pike.
Yeah, and you want to try to
And
build the characters and find out who
but
they are.
but this isn't like a send off. This isn't like, we're like everyone's having fun. Like, I didn't like the scene with Jesse Rath getting, or Brainy getting taken over by the witch, but Jesse Rath looked like he was having a ball playing that. I just didn't think it was all that funny. Um, so it's just, and the whole Lena is a witch, just, oh, God, they better pull that off. That's gotta come off just right in the end, or it's just not. This is how they're closing out that character.
And it's interesting because they're playing her magical abilities and trying to tie it in with fifth dimensional magic, which is really supposedly not magic. It's supposed to be so advanced technology that it feels like magic to us. And they're
Hmm.
trying to say, well, that's what Lena's got because she's so technical and so scientific that she's trying to find the scientific element of magic, which is kind of so out there that it's not really what magic is about in our realm.
Yeah, when it's like Thor explaining that Asgardian technology looks like magic to to the people of Earth. That's kind of one thing, because you're putting the stall out right at the beginning that that's what that is. When you're calling somebody a witch, that's a specific thing, and the magic that like a witch does is more earth-based and more, and not like a technology to figure out. Now, I can see a character like Lena attacking it that way,
Mm.
but if they're trying to meld like magic and science together in Lena, it's really
Brit- uh,
um, Justin in the comments asked when Tabitha was going to show up. I was also, maybe it was uh, Agatha from the Vision and the Witch show, WandaVision. That's it. I can speak tonight, I promise. But yeah, it was Agatha all along. No, I just think that this is like, don't we want to like end all these characters on like a really like a high note, like a
mm,
big note, like
mm.
like playing to their strengths? And they did this whole episode the previous week where they went deeper into the socio-political commentary than they ever have. And like, we got a two line like mention of that at the beginning of the episode, and then nothing else.
No.
Like last week, Kelly's like, I need y'all's help. I need y'all's help now. And then this week she's like, no, I'm good. You guys go and deal with the big stuff because, you know, we don't need to do this now. And it's a little disappointing that we didn't get like more of that. And Mike Zumo is correct. This season should be a victory tour, not a just an average season of Supergirl, which is what it's turning into.
And getting back to the Bewitched connection, Mark Lax reminds us that Endora was the grandmother, played by Agnes Moorehead, who actually voiced Lois Lane for a period in the 1940s radio series.
She was also, if I'm correct, the Lara from the pilot episode. I'd have to double check that, but yeah, she was on the radio show in some form. So you know, it all comes back to Superman.
Indeed. All right, well, let's look ahead to tomorrow night's episode of Supergirl. It is titled Magical Thinking. Here is the promo trailer. I guess we know, speaking about Lena, what this will be about.
Nixley got a hold of another totem and she used it. It turned people depraved. We'll have to spread out and keep the city safe.
Not much of a promo there, just very short snippets of a big fight and a bit of Nixley thrown in. But Lena is uncertain about using her magical abilities to help Supergirl retrieve the second totem from Nixley, says the description synopsis for this episode.
Yeah, very vague synopsis, which the CW is going to do because they're not going to give away everything at the beginning. Very action-packed snippet. I wouldn't call that a trailer. I'd call that more of a like 3 or 4 quick images from it, which is better than nothing because they were doing no kind of next time. So do you think it was like the outcry that got them to start doing them again?
I have a feeling, or that the promo that they did back when the episode returned covered the 3 or 4 episodes coming after that, and then they went, okay, well, we've got some now material to start continuing with new ones. I don't know. But it probably a bit of both. But I don't see why they wouldn't continue with promos, considering it's a way of promoting your upcoming episodes, and it doesn't take much time. Just, get some kid with a bit of editing skills into the booth and let them put it together a 30-second promo. It wouldn't take much time.
Yeah, I'm sure they have interns.
Yes, exactly. All right, and then beyond that, episode 15, we have some photos for the episode titled Hope for Tomorrow. Here are a couple of the images for that. Hope for Tomorrow sees Supergirl continuing to fight Nixley for the remaining totems, but after Nixley kidnaps William, Supergirl realizes she needs to take a more proactive stance to keep National City safe. Meanwhile, Alex faces the biggest challenge of her life. So it looks like William, played by Staz Nair, will have a bit more of a role in upcoming episodes. We know he's got to write Super Friends stories that will satisfy Andrea in his editor at Catco. So a few things that he's got to tackle in the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, once again, we have a side character that they're struggling to find something for him to do. So I guess playing Nixley's victim, that'll work, I guess. Yeah.
Why not? All right, and then beyond that, we have a synopsis description for the 16th episode of Season 6 of Supergirl. It's titled Nightmare in National City, and it reads thusly. Kara lands her dream story for Catco when the city is suddenly attacked by a nightmare monster at the same time as her interview. She's forced to take a serious look at her life and decide if she can continue to live as both Kara and Supergirl. As Dreamer takes the lead on the search for the Dream Totem, which can vanquish the nightmare monster in National City, she realizes she needs to ask her sister Maeve for help. Old wounds resurface as the two sisters come face to face.
So maybe they're and I think Mind the Gap or somebody in the comments kind of mentioned this, that maybe the end of the show is going to be her revealing her identity.
Oh, Kara.
In one form or another. I'm still of the opinion she's going to the future at the end of the series to be with Mon-El, but that's just a pet theory of my own. But really, outside of giving Dreamer something to do, has Catco really served any purpose this season?
No, other than Andrea trying to land interviews with the Super Friends or write stories about the Super Friends and, try to bring Catco back up into the rankings of entertainment media in that form. But no, it really hasn't. We had that episode where Zor-El was there as her uncle visiting.
Yes.
Yeah, and lifting a photocopying machine with one hand, but beyond that, no, it doesn't really serve too much of a purpose.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if sometimes a set or a setting or a character really outlives their usefulness to like the overall story, so the writers then have to spend like ways of trying to shoehorn them in. Like, I like William as a character, but William seemed to serve a very specific purpose last season, and this season it's just like he's just kind of struggling to find one. And again, we're in the last season, so that's not really you're spending time on things that maybe don't really matter in the long run.
Well, short of giving him superpowers and making him join the Super Friends, that seems to be the role.
I'm waiting for it.
He'll get magical abilities somehow after Nixley abducts him.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't be too far-fetched. But speaking of characters and wrapping up the show, Jesse Ruth participated in a video interview which the CW posted online this week, reflecting on his time playing Brainy on Supergirl.
The future needs heroes. My favorite storyline and scene. I really loved the torture scene where I was running through all the different Brainiacs.
The Earth is moving at 67,000 miles per hour at different times and different places.
So you gotta do the math or else you end up in space.
The math is not easy.
That was a lot of fun to figure out and to play with. And that scene kind of planted the seed for the season 5 episode where we got to meet all the different Brainiacs from the different dimensions.
Get an interrogation room ready.
I'm sorry, who the hell are you?
I'm Director Brainiac 5 of the DEO.
We got to meet.
So there we have just a bit of that interview with Jesse Ruth talking about his time playing Brainy. Did notice that the skin used to be more blue than now it's gone really green.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Back in Dragon Con, I participated in a panel that was comparing the CW Crisis to the comic book version. And so I went back and watched everything, and I forgot how he used to play that character and how annoying it was.
So annoying. Yeah, but so obviously some changes in his character over time. We even got to see his actual real-life sister playing a female version of Brainy in an episode. So, he's come a long way since those early days.
Yeah, and really, I think he was a good replacement for Wynn. I hated to see Jeremy Jordan go, but like I said at the time of him leaving, that man was way too. Had way too much talent to be a secondary character on a show like that. He needs to be out there doing other things.
Yeah. Mike in the comments brings out a good point that the pigment changed for his color post-crisis. So it could have been. You can probably put it into that.
That's true. I mean, he kind of looked like Doc Brown from Back to the Future for most of his early appearances. But that's fine. That's fine.
Now, you did mention that the CW has announced the series finale date for Supergirl, which will be Tuesday, November 9th. So we're a month away from the series finale.
Are we really that close? Wow. I did not realize that.
Yeah, so since 2015, back when it debuted on the CBS and then jumped to the CW for its second season, we are now within sight of the series finale of Supergirl, which, as I said, will air on as a double episode, so movie length type of deal on Tuesday, November 9th. So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what they do between there and now, whether we get a complete straight run of episodes, or whether there'll be a week off or something like that, because I'm not sure exactly how many we have, but it should take us right up if my maths in my head calculates correctly. We probably should continue 16, 17. Yeah, I think we can continue on to 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, by November
I think
9th.
I think it was only going to be 20, so 16, 17, 18. Yeah. So
We should get there. He
looking
turns
at a
it out on the
calendar.
calendar.
6. Let's see. We are at 14, 15, 16, 17. That's weird.
Well, 19 and 20
Yeah, I
will
think
play
they're
together.
I think they're going to 20
Mm.
on it. 19 and 20 probably. So
Yep. So yeah, well, 19 and 20 will be on November 9th as the series finale. All right, well, we've just gone over the halfway mark of tonight's show. We're going to take a quick break, play some messages, and then we'll come back on the flip side to do the fan favorite segment of our show, This Week in History, comic books, and so much more. We'll be back right after these messages. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program, just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/Superman Homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
This Superman movie is brought to you by Canon, the world's leading camera manufacturer.
Quick, it's happy.
Canavision 8 camcorders.
I thought you were Superman, huh?
Hey, I am.
If it moves, shoot it with a cannon.
And we're back on Superman Homepage Live. A nice old Canon commercial there with Christopher Reeve.
if it moves, shoot it with a cannon. It's very aggressive.
Indeed. All right, we're going to jump into the fan favourite segment of our show. Here is our intro. Before we get into the fan favourite segment, just a quick question in the comments. Mind the Gap saying, didn't we do a commentary on the Smallville finale after it aired back in the day? Yes, I believe we did. A number of us did a video comment or audio commentary. If you search for for it on the website. You should be able to find it. It might be in the TV section with the Smallville stuff, so look for it there. But yes, we did a couple of commentaries over the years. I think we did a Superman the movie one as well from memory. But yeah, the fan favourite segment of our show. What was our question from last week, Michael?
What was your favorite episode of Season 1 of Superman and Lois? And Ryan Ignatius Pratt wrote, my favorite episode of Superman and Lois would be a brief reminiscence in between cataclysmic events. I very much enjoyed the exploring the background of this incarnation of Lois and Clark and the development of their relationship. I also thought it was interesting to not have Lois infatuated early on with Superman, departing from tradition.
Yeah, that was a great episode, looking back with all those glimpses at their past and their initial meeting. Then we have Kenny Crowley Jr., who says, my favourite episodes of Superman and Lois Season 1 are the pilot, Episode 11, which is a brief reminiscence in between cataclysmic events, and Episode 13, and the season finale. What I enjoyed about those episodes is not only showing the alien and human sides of Superman Clark Kent, but also his willingness to care about people and when he is fighting to never give up. Also in this series, even more so than Tyler's first few appearances in the Arrowverse crossovers and early on in Supergirl, you see him shine more as Superman and Clark Kent. So many great things about Superman and Lois Season 1, but those are the things about the first season that stood out to me the most. Also, Tyler is my second favourite live action Superman of all time. Well, thank you to Ryan and Kenny.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. All right, so that was the only 2 responses we received to this particular fan favorite question. Maybe we'll get more. Well, do you have a favorite episode, Mike?
A brief reminiscence in between cataclysmic events. I really liked, much like what Ryan said, it was just great getting all of the early stuff and the Clark and Lois meeting again, and Superman and Lois meeting for the first time, really, and the changes in the relationship and how it just improved upon the dynamic of the characters. It was just really great seeing that and getting it all out of the way. It also was a clever way to have Morgan Edge figure out who Superman is when he's not being Superman. So I just thought it could have been a filler episode, but it turned out to be really important to the overall story. So I kind of liked that as well.
Yeah, I'd say that was probably my favourite as well. Probably tied with the pilot because of how well it just grabbed you and wanted and dragged you along for the ride. You were just in on straight away. You just the way it played off, the whole thing about Clark's secret to his sons and how that all played out. It really was a great hook into the series.
Yeah, they did a lot with their 15 episodes. So I kind of appreciated that. So
for sure. All right, what is our new fan favorite question for this week?
Well, this isn't a controversial question at all. This cannot in any way create arguments. What is your favorite Superman era and why?
Yeah, which era of Superman was your favorite? The 50s, the 40s, the 30s, the 60s, 70s. It could be not just because of comic books, which obviously there's a particular era of comic books where you and I would probably be sitting our answer to this question in, but it could be for any reason. Which era was your favorite and why? The email address to respond to this fan favorite question is at the bottom of your screen now. info@supermanhomepage.com. Get involved. Let us know which era of Superman was your favorite and why. We'll get to those responses when we return to the fan favorite question next week.
And the great thing is, no matter what your answer is, it's right.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. Indeed. All right, let's move into the This Week in History segment. Here is your intro.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bars of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
Alrighty, moving through space and time, we go back to 1951 with World's Finest Comics number 55. Man, these covers are weird.
Let me have a look. Where are we? Here we go.
Man, these covers are weird. But the Superman story in this was the city It looks like they're jumping or
Yeah.
doing somersaults. Batman looks like he's having an Invisible Man do the Heimlich maneuver on him. So,
Like they do
and no
kangaroo.
matter what, I think the only person that should be dating that cheerleader is Robin because she looks way too young. The Superman story in this issue was the city that exiled Superman. Moving up to 1961. We've got Superboy number 93 with Lana Lang's Superboy Identity Detective Kit. You gotta. I have to admit, her going to all the trouble to creating the sign inside the case. That was great.
He mixes up her suitcases.
Yeah, so I was supposed to bring this for vacation, and now all I got is a Superboy identification kit. There was also another story in this called The Great Super Hunt. Also in 1961, we have Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 57. Jimmy Olsen marries Supergirl. And also another story called The Doomed Reporter. So that Supergirl still in her blue skirt, I might note. Moving up to 1971, this was a 100-page kind of reprint book. This was Superman number 245. That one's from next week, or it may have been later in the week. 246 came out around the same time. That's just a weird cover too. So, but 246 is Danger, Monster at Work, as we have Superman just not caring, which is kind of a common trope in these covers sometimes. I really kind of dig those. Jumping ahead to 1981, we've got DC Comics Presents number 41, where Superman teams up with the Joker. You also got a preview of the bold new direction for Wonder Woman. Though I do like the fact that the Superman Joker story is the terrible Tinseltown treasure trap treachery. So that's a bit of alliteration there for you. Also, Justice League of America number 198 came out. This was a cool story where the Justice League meets a bunch of Old West characters like Batlash and Jonah Hex and Cinnamon and Scalp Hunter, which is always kind of cool. Leaping ahead to 1991, we have Action Comics number 671, which was part of the Blackout storyline. Kieran Dwyer did the art in this issue. He would take over Action Comics in a couple of months, but that's a really cool Dan Jurgens, Bob McLeod cover. Going to 2001, we have Superman Adventures number 62 with Kryptonightmare, which I always kind of like it when they combine those two words. And in the same week, my God, Joker's Last Laugh was 20 years ago.
Wow.
That hurts. But this was the Young Justice issue written by Peter David with a really fun Walter Simonson cover. Walt Simonson, if memory serves, did a bunch of the covers from this era. And then leaping ahead to 2011, 10 years ago, Action Comics number 2. Wow. It is so weird when we're getting to things that we talked about at the time. In one form or another.
Wow.
That was actually a pretty good issue, too. I recently reread the first couple of issues of Morrison's Action Comics. It started off very strong.
Yeah, it did.
I wish it had stayed that way. In the real world, today, October 4th, Melissa Benoist was born in 1988.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And both Steve and I suddenly feel old. On October 5th, Jesse Eisenberg, who played Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman and in Justice League, was born in 1983. It would have been more amusing if Facebook went out today or tomorrow and not today. October 6th, not only did Superboy premiere in 1988, but Brick Eklund, who played quote-unquote Lara in Superboy, was born in 1942. And it was the day Mike Carlin, future editor, well, past editor, but, when he was born, future editor of Superman, was born on that day. On October 8th, Kirk Allen was born in 1910. And on October 9th, Brandon Routh was born in 1979, marking the very first Superman that was younger than me. I remember that being weird back in 2006.
Oh wow, there you have it. So interesting, interesting that some of those dates or some of those birthdays really kind of just make you scratch your head.
Yeah. 1988. I was 12, and you were, what, 17?
Yeah, I was in my second last year of high school.
Wow. But that is this week in history.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Michael. I did manage to do one last week in your absence. I think I did okay, but
Oh,
it's always
sure you did fantastic.
always good to have you jump in and do those. All right, so pushing on to the well, let's look at before we get into the comic book side of things. DC Fandom, the online event that will be streaming for 24 hours for fans everywhere around the world. The global event, second time they're doing it. It's not too far away. It's October 16th. If you're in the US, it'll be very early October 17th here in Australia when it kicks off. But that DCFandom.com on a couple of days ago, DC released this video saying it all started with the iconic Man of Steel on a Superman and more at the epic DC Fandom streaming event on October 16th. All fans welcome. So here is a little promo they put together saying it all started with Superman. That's a cool little video they put together highlighting a lot of different eras of Superman.
It reminded me a lot of that promo that played at the beginning of all of the DVDs in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, I watched it today because I actually had off so I could sit there and like watch the videos that you talk about instead of watching it for the first time as we're doing the show. And the thing that I kept thinking was, okay, the music here is fine. This is DC. This isn't like a fan putting this together. Could they not clear Superman themes? Like you know, a little mixture of like the Chris Reeve and the, you know, like the Man of Steel theme. That I think that would have, I think it would have made it pop more.
Well, they did that for the animation thing, you know, with the
yeah, for the 75th. Yeah,
right. They merged both those themes together, the John Williams and the Hans Zimmer one. So yeah, you wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good mix of the different Supermen. I don't think they showed any George Reeves or Kirk Allen, unless I missed them. But
yeah, no,
every time,
either of those.
And every time they do like one of these things, like it all started with Superman, it just reminds me constantly that it's all lip service. Because they say it all started with Superman. Thank God Batman came along, otherwise we wouldn't have a profit margin. But it's just no. But I liked it. It was really kind of cool seeing it and seeing the clips they put together. I especially really liked that they kind of merged the the black suited Superman images,
Hmm.
like the one Dean Cain wore going into that animated piece. So yeah, it was cool. I liked it.
They did a good job of it, I thought, in the short time that they had for it. So well done. And they have announced a list of stars, directors, writers, and artists participating in this year's DC Fandom event. I'm going to play the quick thing that they did for that as well, but then I will go through, of course, unless you've got super fast reading, you won't be able to catch the names. There you have it. Now, the full list of names are available on our website if you didn't catch them all in that quick video that was put together there. For
So y'all catch that?
I mean, I saw them all. I don't know what you were looking at. Um, the Supergirl panel that will take place will include Melissa Benoist, Kyla Lee, David Harewood, Katie McGrath, Nicole Maines, Jesse Ruff, and Azzy Tesfaye, as well as returning guest stars Jeremy Jordan, Chris Wood, and Makard Brooks. So they'll all be there. They're all part of it. Superman and Lois will have Tyler Hoechlin, Elizabeth Tulloch, Jordan Elsas, and Alex Garfin, to name a few.
Yeah, it looks like they caught everybody when they were filming the finale. So
pretty much. So yeah, the full list is on our website of all the other people who will be participating. Looking forward to this DC Fandom. I thought last year's was well done, and they'll probably learn a few things as far as the technical aspects are concerned. It works properly for everyone.
I remember you having some difficulties.
Maybe I had to go to like an Italian website or somewhere to actually be able to catch it. But yeah, you mentioned the glitch earlier on Facebook and Instagram today. Were out for hours, causing a bit of meltdown for a lot of people. Barely noticed it.
Shocking that happened after a major whistleblower comes out about Facebook's practices. That's it's an interesting bit of timing there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I didn't really notice either. Like every once in a while I would go to it to check something, but I've been more on Twitter recently because I just find that the conversations are a little more interesting. Once you get the algorithm of your feed to where you want it, like it's great. It's like Facebook. I think everyone's abandoning Facebook.
Well, I mean, I keep seeing things that are 2 and 3 days old coming up on my feed. They're just irrelevant, with the things that I'm currently, dealing with. So it's like, no, that's old news. That's not even relevant anymore. And you just keep wondering. Yeah. Where Twitter, as you say, it's just constantly being updated with new stuff, and then they label the things you may have missed. That in a section where Facebook just brings up stuff that you think is new, but it's actually, unless you look at the 2 day or 1 day old, you don't realize that it's old news. But anyway, I digress. So that's DC Fandom coming up very soon, and part of what they're doing with DC Fandom is they're partnering with Palm NFT Studio for epic digital collectibles that will drop during DC Fandom. I mean, I read this and I did a bit of research on what NFTs are, and I am still NFI.
Yeah, that was cute. I really liked that. That's a little cheeky for you too. Of course, they don't know the real you. So, no, when I first heard of NFTs, I think it was like a couple months ago, that people were putting together like digital images and selling them for hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm just like, okay, we've officially run out of things. The fact that DC's now getting into it makes me think that this is something that is going to be a bubble and it's going to burst. And it's not just because DC's getting into it, but it seems like these things that are created to kind of create a short-term profit, like cryptocurrency is kind of the same thing, where you create it and you want it to explode so you can make as much money off it as possible. If everybody starts getting into it, then it's not going to have that same cachet. And I think some people are going to be like, it's digital. It's not like I'm getting a physical thing. But maybe I'm just old.
Yeah, it may be. I just don't know. It's not like you've got the actual copy of the Mona Lisa hanging in your house,
Yeah.
I mean, I get that it's yours and you own it, but I mean, yeah, it just seems bizarre to me, and I'm not really on across it. But anyway, they're teaming with them for these NFT digital artwork that you can invest in if that's your thing. So check it out when DC Fandom drops. But let's look ahead at what's coming on the side of comic books for fans reading comic books this week. And this is what you have to look forward to. We only have a couple of comic books out this week, and they are, just loading up the images right now. We have Are You Afraid of DARKSEID? This is a one-shot, which has a couple of short stories in there, and there is one Superman and Lois one, I believe, in there. And then there is this interesting cover of Justice League Infinity #4, which is out this week as well. So it's a very DARKSEID heavy week.
So if for those of us that are old, or people that have watched it, you will remember when DARKSEID came to the Super Friends show in Galactic Guardians, he was all about wanting to marry Wonder Woman. That was his singular focus. So the fact that they're kind of playing into that, when I saw that cover like 2 months ago, I thought that's genius, and it just made me laugh.
So they're the comic books available this week, and there's heaps of new stuff out for October on DC Universe Infinite as well. Don't forget also that the Superman homepage Super Trivia Quiz has been updated for another month, and the 3 questions we're asking you this time around are a little bit kind of left of field. We have, what do the movies Justice League and Easy Rider have in common? What do the movies Superman the Movie and A Streetcar Named Desire have in common? And other than the Superman films, what movie did Christopher Reeve and Ned Beatty appear in together? And there are multiple answers for some of these questions, so you're kind of a bit open-ended. But yeah, if you think you know the answers to those 3 questions, head to the Superman homepage website, find the Super Trivia Quiz, and get involved in this month's new 3-question trivia.
I know 2 of those off the top of my head.
Yeah, a little bit interesting there. So kind of like I said, a bit of left of field there for the questions that I posed this time around. But that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's episode of Superman Homepage Live. Appreciate everyone tuning in and listening and watching us live for tonight's episode. Thanks to all those in the comments there on YouTube for your participation. Really love reading the comments and seeing how you guys are discussing things with each other as the show goes on, and really appreciate you taking out the time from your evening or your morning or afternoon, depending on where you are, to watch the show live. Thank you again, and thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And thank you to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thank you, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And good to have you back. And remember, if you've missed part of the show, you tuned in late, you can watch this whole video again on YouTube or on our website. They'll be there indefinitely. And make sure you tune in next week on Monday, October 11th, for another edition of Superman Homepage Live. We look forward to talking to you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live.